Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. My name is Matthew, and I'm joined today by Mr. Afshin Beheshti. Let me know if I got that right. Many titles. Afshin, I'm going to hand over to you. How are you doing today?
Great. No, thanks for having me here. Yeah.
Fantastic. Afshin, can you run us through, if you don't mind, just a brief overview of some of the things that you're involved in at the moment?
Sure. Yeah. So, as you said, I don't sit still. I do many different things. So one of the projects I work on, the main, is through Blue Marble Space Institute of Science, where, I have my own grants where I've applied to and like work on things from space biology research to, cancer research to, things related with, impact of like traumatic brain injury. And, the central theme of my research a lot of times around mitochondria and these things called microRNAs, which are small RNAs. So in the top of that, I also have a nonprofit I formed back when COVID first started in 2020, called COVID-19 International Research Team, where I'm the president of that. And that there, of course, we have been doing a lot of COVID research, and now long COVID research is, of course, one problem that people are facing, that we're looking at that. And then, as I said, I don't sit still. So my background's in physics. I got a PhD in physics. So physicists tend to be, at least there was at my advisor's door, I had basically, physicists are a jack of all trades. We could do everything, but not as good as the specialty. But we could understand and talk it. But I think everyone who maybe is motivated can probably do the same thing. But then also recently with some of my friends and collaborators from the AI world, artificial intelligence, ML world, we're starting this movement, and we're going to be a non-profit called Quai, which is a AI movement where we're trying to democratize AI, make it available, with to the public. So sort of like how Linux movement started. So it'd be like the Linux movement of AI. We're trying to do it, make it accessible to everyone, and get rid of these like monopolies that are there. So the whole goal of our this new project Quai is to create a personal assistant for everyone in the world. That's one aspect of it. So, everyone could have a personal assistant for free. And then after that, evolve to like helping, for example, the life sciences, where they could be personal assistants to labs or digital twins to labs, or then evolve to companies, that might need that help, and music industry, movies, people just going to the doctor and trying to understand clinician talk. Yeah. So then you could have like an AI to interpret that and then tell them, common person, okay, this is what you should ask, and this is what that person means. So that's another project that I'm on. And then, there's, as I said, working on cancer research is another group. There's an exon 20 consortium. So exon 20 is a mutation that occurs lung cancer patients, and it's a very rare one. It's like 5% of patients get it. But the really troublesome part of this is that when you have this mutation, no one knows it. They're very healthy, athletic, young, non-smoker, no genetic history of cancer in their family, or at least lung cancer. And then they come in the doctor, 40 years old, they say, oh, my chest hurts. And then when they do an x-ray, there's like, oh, full-blown lung cancer. They, take the sample and they sequence it, and they figure out, oh, it's because of this exon 20 mutation. So there's a big patient advocacy group out there led by two people, Bob Hanlon and Marshall Horn, which did really great things for the patients. And then they wanted to form this scientific group, since I have many different scientific groups I work with, to actually see if you can bring scientists together and tackle this problem. Even though it's a rare cancer, but it's a still important one because it's hard to treat, and these patients are suffering, unfortunately. So that's another consortium where, now it's a nice group of scientists. We're trying to tackle that problem. So, and there's probably more consortiums that are going to pop up that are going to get my fingers and hands wet and dabble in. But, like I said, I don't sit still and try to do it. I don't say no. That's my problem.
So quite a lot of things going on. Let's talk a little bit about how this happened for you. From a young age, were you always eager and motivated to get involved in a lot of things? Was there a turning point in your life? How did all of this develop?
Well, yeah, as a young age, I guess I was motivated to, I always liked science. So that was probably one of the things, I would probably, that I knew I wanted to be doing something in science. I guess I just let things evolve naturally, and as a young age, my parents put me in music. I played music also as a hobby. So, they put me in music, so learn instruments. So they basically motivated me to, be in different activities. So I think that helped, of course, growing up in your environment, that's always an influence on you. So like in high school, and there's all these extracurricular activities always. And part of it was, I guess, I was motivated to be like, for example, part of the chess team, part of the debate team, and all these other high school activities. I did little sports, but not too much. But the music stuff, like playing jazz bands, or then eventually now, I have my own bands that I play in. But then, in college, once I got into undergrad, I went straight into physics. And then, I think after I got my PhD, I don't have a straight career path as a lot of people do. When they get their degree, they stay in that focus of research they do to that. But I switched completely to biology because I said, hey, why not? This is more interesting and I could learn it. So then, I think once it naturally evolved where, when I was doing my postdocs and, after PhD training, it just kind of evolved to a point where I just was efficient. I was able to manage my time properly and say, okay, I could do this and I could do this. And then one advice one of my colleagues gave me a long time ago was like, don't, I think this is part of the reason too, or that I diversified more. And I agree with it, is like, don't pigeonhole yourself with just one type of work. What you're doing can easily be applicable to a lot of different things. You just have to open your mind to that. So then, that's sort of the philosophy I took. And it's true, because once you open your mind to that, you create a larger network of people that you could collaborate with, and you just don't stick in one field. Like, for example, the AI, I can understand the language. I'm not a programmer. I program a little bit, but I'm not a proficient programmer like, the good computer scientists and AI folks are, but I can speak the same language. But I have a network of people that you could talk to each other and bring awareness. So I think that's how it naturally evolved for me in my career, where I'm pretty social, so I like to talk to people. But then on top of that, it's just that I'm interested in many different things. I think when that happens, you naturally would just open up, and when people approach you say, yeah, that sounds interesting. Let's collaborate, or let's work on this. I mean, the key is now managing time, and I've been able to do that pretty well. Learn over the years how to manage the time properly. So that's the key. I guess some people ask me, how do I do that? And then I say, well, just work a lot of hours and have fun with it.
I like that. Work a lot of hours and have fun. I was going to ask you exactly that about time management, but it sounds like because you were so busy in the beginning, that it was quite a natural process for you. Were there any big challenges, anything that you learned about yourself along the way that you thought, this is something I didn't expect, or something that like a realization that you had about yourself or your line of work, your goals in life?
That's a good question. It's a tough one. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, it's sort of, I guess the realization was eventually when I was able to manage, working with a lot of people, from senior level to junior people, is when, I had these large collaborative groups. And one way I think I realized I'm able to do is, when you have a lot of, let's say, senior investigators in science, or senior, like, computer scientists, or senior people in CSO, CTOs you deal with, and then you want to bring people, it's like herding cats, right? So it's really, you learn after a while, like, how do you herd cats together? It's always having a carrot dangling in front of them, whether it's like, hey, we could work on something, let's say, for scientists, for a paper publication, it's great, or grants, to, other people in other industry, to convince them that, this is great to work with this group. I think one of the realization is that, at least in science, anything, is to be a good used car salesman, but in a good way. You gotta try to convince, in a way, believe in what you're doing, one thing, and then try to be good at selling it, where, have the passion of selling it. So if you don't believe what you're doing, obviously, it comes when you try to convey that to people, it'll come out, that this person that doesn't really believe what they're doing, the research that they're doing, or anything they're doing is not going to be worthwhile. So I think the realization was, for me, was probably, how to manage and deal with a lot of people from different backgrounds, and how to work with, all these people and bring them together. And once you could do that, that was like, hey, I could actually do my work and do my kind of lab and do everything I'm doing as a virtual setting. So that was where there's a light bulb moment where, you don't need to be in a office. You don't need to be somewhere, because virtually you could amass a lot of people together and do a lot of projects. And that's like so I call myself like I have a virtual lab, or a virtual, workspace. And I was doing that before COVID. So, 3 years before that, I started doing that. And then once COVID started, people started like, how you do that? So it was like there's a little step for them to learn too. And I don't think people still don't take advantage of it as they should, I don't think, because, the way I've done it now, I collaborate with everyone around the world, from, Japan, Asia, to India to South American countries to European countries, everywhere. So it does really broaden your network, and taking advantage of the virtual workspace, I think, is key. That was I think the key that switched everything for me to do what I'm doing now.
So I have to ask you as well on this point, with all these different things going on, working in different time zones, we've spoken a bit about time management. What about your personal life? Is there a line between the two? Are you living your work? How are you balancing?
I've always had, even in graduate school and stuff, where I always said, I'd have my work and I need to have the fun too. So I have the separation there. Nowadays, more and more things blend together. But for me, work is fun. My wife says, you just go play at work because it's fun. I think that's one of the main things. If you enjoy your work, if you find a career path that doesn't seem like work, then it's not work. You get paid to do it, but it's like almost you have to get up and you could play all day. And like for science wise, you discover new things. It's fun. So, and same with like the quiet movement, this AI movement, I think is going to be super fun once we start really getting into it, because developing a personal assistant for everyone is I think is a super great idea. The leader, I'm the president, but the chair, the person coming up is Riza Razul. He used to be the CTO of Real Networks. He's the real vision of that. But yeah, the division between that, I have a wife, I don't have any kids, but there's times where, she'll come home from work, we eat dinner, and then we talk, and then, I go back to do some more work, and then division. But again, this doesn't seem work. But I have times, for example, on Wednesdays, I go out and play music. So band practice, so that's the division there, where 3-4 hours I shut off and I just do something else. And it's good. So you come back and then next day you refresh. And then, of course, taking vacations, some people, you always have your phone, unfortunately, and the email's on there. But some of the places we go for vacation, for example, the internet's not there. So, it is like you can check in the morning, but then for 3 weeks, none of it. It's done. So the division I do that way, and it helps, I think, to have that. But there are times, obviously, even I'm sure you and others too, when you go on vacation, there's still, you turn on your computer, you're still answering emails, and probably, for me, that just do that, but it's probably, a way that we need to still divide more and make that, separation happen. But as I said, for me, since I enjoy my work, it doesn't seem work.
When you get onto your looking for your hotels and your Airbnbs, you uncheck the Wi-Fi box, make sure that there's nothing more. We're a little bit pressed for time today, so I'm just going to ask you one last thing. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of different options available to them. People who are very similar to you, young, looking to find direction. We touched on it slightly, but if you could give a word of advice to a young person who's trying to figure out, who's interested in many different things, looking for a way to go forward, what would you say to them?
The one thing is, no matter what field you're in, what you're doing can easily be plugged and played to other methods. So your school teaches you how to read and think for yourself, whether you're getting a bachelor's, a master's, or PhD. That's basically what school is. You give you your foundation to become an analytical thinker. And then, from there, it's up to the person to, say, sure, you can stick with the career path like that, doing that one thing. But as I said, for younger folks, if they open up and say, well, what I'm doing, I might not be an expert, for example, as a computer scientist. Say, I'm not that bad to be an expert in biology, but one of my skills, in program can help the biologist. So why not talk to a biologist and say, what do you guys need? I can learn from the biologist, and the biologist can learn from the computer scientist or mathematician, or vice versa, things like that. So I think that's the key is, if a person has a lot of interests, learn your background in that, specific career path you're doing, but then start looking. And then the second key is network. Have a large network of people. So the major thing I think is be open. I know some people are introverts rather than extroverts. It might be harder, but despite that, I think in at least in the science world, life sciences world, and also seems like in the AI ML world, people are really friendly if you approach them with the right. And if you have a nice idea, you said don't be afraid to email people. Well, some people might not answer. That's so what, then you go to the next person that, like me, if someone emails me, I'm like, I always answer emails. Yes, and I will say no, And if I don't have time, I'll be like, well, I don't have time for this, but we'll come back, maybe at a later time to work with you guys. But that's the thing. So I think the two main things I'll tell them is, what you're doing can easily be applied for a lot of different paths. You just have to be creative. Now, don't lose your inner child and creativity. The more you have that, then you can easily branch out. And the other part is network. Don't be afraid to approach people, senior people, and like a lot of people like me and other people and my colleagues, we support the younger generation. I mean, because the younger generation is the key to their future, because they're the ones who are, I think, probably brighter than us, old folks, because they have all the bright ideas, right? So, they might have a fresh idea that I would have never thought of. And usually when they come to me, that's the same thing. So it's really exciting to see and support that, nurture that. And eventually I'll be working for them, because they might be, starting this new movement, and I'll be happy to join their movement. But I think that's the key, the network, and don't be afraid to branch out from your, background and career or skills that you have, because everything you do can be plug and play in many different fields if you just have to think creatively.
Afshin, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. I know you squeezed us in here today. You've got a busy day ahead of you. Thank you so much. And we do wish you the best, and we'll be keeping our eye on you and seeing where you go from here.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'll be happy to talk more later if you want me to come back. So yeah, thanks a lot for this. It's really fun.